the hip-hop world just got a serious wake-up call. Boosie Badazz is no stranger to controversy, but this time, he's taking direct aim at T.I. and King Harris, and it's all connected to the escalating drama surrounding 50 Cent. What started as subtle tension has now exploded into a full-blown public showdown, and fans are struggling to process how fast things spiraled out of control. Boosie didn't just respond, he delivered what many are calling a warning shot. His message was bold, unapologetic, and impossible to ignore. Social media lit up within minutes, with supporters and critics going back and forth over who crossed the line first. Was this about loyalty? Respect? Or something deeper brewing behind the scenes? King Harris suddenly found himself dragged into a conversation much bigger than expected, while T.I.'s name added even more weight to the situation. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's history of public feuds only adds fuel to the fire, making fans wonder if this is about to become one of the most explosive rap clashes of the year. One thing is clear, this isn't just rap gossip anymore, it's personal. And when artists of this caliber start sending public messages instead of private calls, you know the tension has reached a breaking point. The question now is simple. Who responds next? The question now is simple. Who responds next? Because in hip-hop, silence is never accidental, it's strategic. And right now, every move from T.I., King Harris, and even 50 Cent is being watched under a microscope. But the man who forced this moment into the spotlight is Boosie Badazz, and he made sure his words hit like a thunderclap. This wasn't a casual comment. It wasn't a throwaway Instagram live rant. It felt calculated, measured, intentional. Boosie's tone carried something deeper than internet drama. It carried frustration. It carried warning. And for fans who have followed his history, they know one thing. When Boosie feels disrespected, he doesn't sugarcoat it. He doesn't play industry politics. He speaks directly. And this time, his message landed in the middle of an already tense situation connected to 50 Cent, a figure known for turning subtle tension into headline-grabbing warfare. Let's be real. Whenever 50 Cent's name enters a conversation, things escalate fast. His track record with public feuds is legendary. Careers have been tested. Alliances have shifted. And now, somehow, T.I. and King Harris are standing near the blast zone of another brewing conflict. So how did we get here? It started with whispers, social media clips, indirect comments, fans connecting dots that may or may not have been meant to connect. But once Boosie stepped in publicly, the whispers turned into a roar. Some believe Boosie felt loyalty lines were being crossed. Others think he saw narratives forming that needed to be corrected immediately. But what shocked fans the most wasn't just what he said, it was who he said it about. Calling out T.I. carries weight. This isn't just any artist. T.I. has long been viewed as a respected voice in the Southern rap community, someone who helped define an era. So when Boosie's message appeared to challenge that circle, it felt bigger than social media drama. It felt like a shift. Then there's King Harris. Being the son of a rap legend already puts pressure on every move. But getting pulled into a public situation involving Boosie and 50 Cent? That's a different level of spotlight. Suddenly, the conversation wasn't just about music. It was about respect, hierarchy, and generational boundaries in hip-hop. Fans immediately split into camps. Some argued Boosie was standing on principle, protecting his name and drawing clear lines. Others felt the situation could have been handled privately. And of course, 50 Cent's supporters speculated whether this tension was another chapter in his long history of strategic public pressure. But here's where things get even more intense. This isn't happening in a vacuum. Hip-hop right now is hyper-digital. Every word becomes a headline. Every clip becomes a narrative. Every emoji becomes a statement. So when Boosie speaks strongly, it doesn't stay in one room, it spreads globally within minutes. And that's exactly what happened. Reaction channels went live. Twitter spaces filled up. Comment sections exploded with theories. Some fans revisited old interviews. Others dug up past collaborations and subtle remarks, trying to piece together hidden tension that may have been simmering for years. Was this personal history resurfacing? Was this about loyalty to 50 Cent? Or was this about protecting family names and legacies? One thing became clear very quickly: Boosie wasn't backing down. His energy suggested finality, like he had already made up his mind before pressing record. And in hip-hop culture, that energy matters. Tone matters. Delivery matters. Meanwhile, T.I.'s silence, at least initially, only made the moment heavier. In rap politics, silence can mean preparation. It can mean strategy. Or it can mean refusing to dignify something with a response. Fans kept refreshing timelines. Waiting. Watching. King Harris also faced a wave of online attention, some supportive, some critical. Being young in this industry means every reaction is magnified. And the internet rarely shows mercy. But here's the shocking reality. This situation may represent something deeper than a single disagreement. It highlights a growing tension in hip-hop between veterans and the next generation, between public accountability and private respect, between industry alliances and personal pride. Boosie has always positioned himself as someone who speaks from the heart, even when it causes backlash. And in this moment, he seemed determined to send a message not just to individuals, but to the culture itself. And then there's 50 Cent. Whether directly involved or indirectly connected, his presence changes the temperature of any situation. His history of calculated responses and strategic timing makes fans wonder, is he watching quietly? Is he waiting for the perfect moment to respond? Or is this tension unfolding exactly how he expected? The unpredictability is what makes this explosive. Because if T.I. responds strongly, it becomes a heavyweight exchange. If King Harris steps in, it becomes generational. If 50 Cent adds fuel, it becomes historic. And Boosie? He already lit the match. The bigger question now isn't just who responds next, it's how far this goes. Will this stay in the realm of words? Will it turn into diss tracks? Will alliances shift publicly? Hip-hop history shows that moments like this can either fade within weeks or define entire eras of tension. Right now, we're at the edge of something that feels unpredictable. And in a culture built on reputation, respect, and response, unpredictability is the most dangerous ingredient of all. This is only the beginning. This is only the beginning. Because when tensions like this surface publicly, they usually have roots that go much deeper than fans realize. What we're witnessing now isn't just a sudden clash, it feels like layers of history, pride, loyalty, and reputation all colliding at once. And when names like Boosie Badazz, T.I., King Harris, and 50 Cent get pulled into the same storm, the impact is never small. To understand how explosive this could become, you have to understand the personalities involved. Boosie has built his career on being unapologetically direct. He doesn't filter his opinions for industry comfort. Over the years, that authenticity has earned him a loyal fan base, but it has also placed him in the middle of controversy more than once. When Boosie speaks, it rarely sounds calculated for clout. It sounds personal. And that's exactly why this situation feels different. Then there's T.I., a veteran with a legacy tied to Southern rap dominance. He's long been seen as a strategic thinker, someone who chooses his words carefully and understands how narratives shape careers. T.I. doesn't usually jump recklessly into online chaos. If he responds, it's often measured. But measured doesn't mean weak, and fans know that. Now add 50 Cent into the atmosphere. His history of public feuds is practically a masterclass in psychological warfare. He understands timing better than most. He knows when to stay quiet and when to strike. And whether directly speaking or just subtly reacting, his involvement often shifts the balance of power in any situation. So when Boosie's message appeared to intersect with 50 Cent's orbit, while calling out T.I. and bringing King Harris into the spotlight, it felt like a collision of three very different approaches to influence. And here's where it gets even more intense. The younger generation is watching closely. King Harris represents that new wave, growing up in the shadow of a legendary father, navigating social media pressure in real time. Unlike earlier eras of hip-hop, this generation doesn't get the luxury of private mistakes. Everything is public. Every reaction becomes content. That creates tension. Because hip-hop has always operated on codes, unspoken rules about respect, hierarchy, and how disagreements are handled. But social media has blurred those lines. What once might have been handled behind closed doors now unfolds in front of millions within minutes. Some fans believe this situation is about defending family. Others think it's about protecting personal brands. And some argue it's simply about maintaining respect in a culture where respect is currency. But beneath all that speculation lies a bigger possibility: pride. Pride has fueled some of the most iconic rap conflicts in history. It turns minor misunderstandings into lyrical wars. It turns side comments into diss tracks. And when pride mixes with legacy, especially for artists who've spent decades building their names, the stakes multiply. Right now, there are 3 potential paths this situation could take. First, it could cool down quietly. A private conversation. A mutual understanding. A subtle shift back to normalcy without public escalation. That's the calm outcome. Second, it could transform into subliminals, indirect shots in interviews, coded lyrics, strategic posts. This is the slow burn route, where tension simmers without fully exploding. Third, it could erupt. If diss records enter the picture, everything changes. Diss tracks in hip-hop aren't just music, they're statements. They draw battle lines. They force responses. And once records are released, pride rarely allows silence. Fans are already debating hypothetical scenarios. If Boosie doubles down, would T.I. respond lyrically or verbally? Would 50 Cent step in publicly, or would he let the situation unfold strategically? Would King Harris attempt to defend his position, or would he choose to stay above the chaos? Each option carries consequences. Because this isn't just about personal feelings, it's about public perception. Hip-hop thrives on narratives. The way a conflict is framed can impact reputations for years. And in today's digital era, perception spreads faster than facts. There's also the business side. Collaborations, partnerships, tours, all of these can be affected when tension becomes public. Artists don't just protect pride, they protect investments. That's why the silence from certain camps feels heavy. Silence can signal preparation. It can mean lawyers, management teams, and advisors are weighing options. It can mean calculating the next move carefully instead of reacting emotionally. But Boosie's initial energy didn't feel hesitant. It felt final, like a line had already been drawn. And once lines are drawn publicly, stepping back becomes complicated. Another layer that can't be ignored is fan loyalty. Each of these artists has a dedicated base. And when fan bases clash online, pressure builds. Supporters demand responses. They interpret silence as weakness and reaction as strength. That social pressure alone can escalate a situation beyond what the artists originally intended. And then there's the unpredictability of 50 Cent. History shows that when his name is in circulation, he rarely lets a narrative spin without at least nudging it. Whether through humor, sarcasm, or direct confrontation, he has a way of re-entering conversations at the perfect moment. If that happens here, the temperature rises instantly. Because at that point, it's no longer a disagreement, it's an event. What makes this situation so gripping is the balance of power involved. These aren't newcomers trying to gain attention. These are established names with reputations, influence, and years of history behind them. That makes every word heavier. And we haven't even considered the possibility of alliances shifting. Hip-hop alliances can be fluid. Today's neutral party can become tomorrow's defender. A single statement from a respected peer could tilt public opinion dramatically. Right now, everything feels like it's on pause, but not calm. It's the kind of pause that comes before movement, before decisions are made, before someone decides that silence has lasted long enough. The culture is watching, not just for entertainment, but for meaning. For what this says about respect between veterans. For what it says about generational boundaries. For what it reveals about how conflicts are handled in 2026 compared to 2006. Because this moment reflects more than individual tension, it reflects how hip-hop has evolved. Public platforms have replaced private meetings. Reaction videos replace word of mouth. And narratives form within hours, not weeks. So the real question moving forward isn't just who responds next. It's who responds smartest. Will someone de-escalate and gain maturity points? Will someone escalate and dominate headlines? Or will this become another chapter in hip-hop's long history of pride-fueled showdowns? One thing is certain, Whatever happens next will shape how this moment is remembered. Right now, the tension hangs in the air, unresolved, unpredictable, and ready to tip in any direction. And in hip-hop, when tension lingers too long without resolution, it almost always finds a way to explode. And when tension lingers too long without resolution, it almost always finds a way to explode. Right now, the culture is sitting at that exact breaking point. The silence from certain corners feels heavier than any diss record could. Because when powerful voices like Boosie Badazz, T.I., and 50 Cent are all connected to the same narrative, even indirectly, the outcome carries weight far beyond social media drama. This moment isn't just about who said what. It's about legacy. Boosie has built his image on authenticity and emotional transparency. When he feels something, the world hears it. That raw delivery is part of why fans trust him, but it also means his words land with force. If he feels lines were crossed, he won't quietly retreat. And that alone keeps this situation volatile. T.I., on the other hand, represents calculated leadership. He understands optics. He understands timing. If he responds, it won't be random, it will be strategic. And strategy in hip-hop can be more powerful than aggression. A calm, controlled response can sometimes silence chaos louder than shouting ever could. Then there's 50 Cent, arguably one of the most unpredictable figures in rap conflicts. His history proves that he doesn't just respond emotionally, he responds tactically. He plays the long game. If he decides to involve himself directly, it won't just be reactionary, it will be impactful. And when he moves, the entire industry pays attention. But perhaps the most delicate position belongs to King Harris. Being young in a situation dominated by veterans is complicated. Every word he speaks can either elevate him or expose him to harsh criticism. The internet is ruthless, and stepping into a clash involving seasoned artists requires balance. Too aggressive, and it looks reckless. Too silent, and critics question confidence. This is where the generational tension becomes most visible. Hip-hop has always respected hierarchy. Veterans expect acknowledgement. Younger voices demand space. And when those expectations collide publicly, the result can either redefine relationships or damage them permanently. What makes this moment so gripping is that it feels symbolic. It represents more than personal disagreement. It reflects how modern hip-hop handles conflict in the digital era. There are no closed doors anymore. No private studio sit-downs that stay private. Everything becomes content. Everything becomes commentary. And commentary creates pressure. Fan bases are already forming opinions. Some believe Boosie is standing firmly on principle. Others argue that public callouts escalate things unnecessarily. Supporters of T.I. trust his wisdom and experience. Meanwhile, 50 Cent's audience waits patiently, knowing his silence rarely lasts forever. The business side of the industry is watching too. Public conflicts can affect collaborations, tours, brand deals, and long-term partnerships. Artists at this level don't just represent themselves, they represent teams, investments, and reputations built over decades. So the next move matters. If this cools down quietly, it will show growth, a sign that maturity outweighs ego. If subliminals start flying, it becomes psychological chess. If diss tracks drop, it becomes history. And history remembers battles differently than interviews. The wild card remains timing. Hip-hop thrives on moments. If someone decides the timing is perfect to speak, whether through a live stream, a song, or a subtle post, the entire narrative could flip overnight. Public opinion shifts quickly. One strong response can redefine who appears in control. But here's the deeper truth. Sometimes the loudest move is restraint. If one side chooses not to escalate, it can force the other side into reflection. And in a culture that often celebrates aggression, choosing composure can feel revolutionary. Still, the tension hasn't disappeared. It's lingering. You can feel it in comment sections, in reaction videos, in the way fans keep refreshing timelines waiting for the next headline. This isn't random gossip, it feels like a chapter that hasn't finished writing itself yet. And that's what makes it powerful. Because no matter what happens next, this moment has already revealed something important about hip-hop in this era. Influence isn't just about music anymore. It's about presence, about perception, about how artists navigate conflict under constant public scrutiny. Boosie lit the spark. T.I. holds experience. 50 Cent holds unpredictability. King Harris stands at the intersection of legacy and youth. For different energies. One unfolding narrative. Now the culture waits. Will this become a lesson in restraint? A case study in strategic dominance? Or the next explosive chapter in rap rivalry history? One thing is certain, whatever happens next won't just be about pride. It will be about positioning. About who controls the narrative. About who understands that in modern hip-hop, the battle isn't only lyrical, it's psychological. And in psychological battles, the smartest move isn't always the loudest one. Sometimes, it's the one nobody sees coming. If you've been watching this situation unfold, now is the time to speak up. The tension between Boosie Badazz, T.I., King Harris, and the shadow of 50 Cent has the entire hip-hop community divided, and your opinion matters. Do you think Boosie was justified in sending that message? Was T.I. being tested publicly? Is 50 Cent about to step in and change everything? Or should this have been handled behind closed doors? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Don't just scroll past, join the conversation. Hip-hop has always been powered by the voices of the fans, and this is one of those moments where the culture decides how a situation is remembered. If you want real breakdowns, unfiltered analysis, and updates the second they happen, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because if this escalates, whether through a response video, a diss track, or a surprise statement, you already know we'll be covering it first and breaking it down completely. Also, smash that like button if you think respect in hip-hop still matters. Share this video with someone who needs to hear both sides of the story. The next move could drop at any moment, and you don't want to miss it. Stay locked in.